Hello everyone, welcome back to the Velocity channel where you're always encouraged to follow the upward trend. Listen, we have a lot to get into today, so I'm just going to make it short and sweet. We're going to be talking about the latest on the fourth stimulus check update. So what does that mean? We're going to give you some history behind the child tax credit, right? How that some people are using their emergency funds to make sure that the stimulus payments go inside of the emergency funds, if you can believe that. Some people are still living paycheck to paycheck and why that is, and also much, much more. But before we dive deep into the fourth stimulus check update, I want you to do something. Like, share, and subscribe so that more people can be educated on following the upward trend. Are you ready? Hey, let's go. Did you know that the IRS has issued over 169 million payments in the third round of direct stimulus assistance, with more than 2 million people in July receiving the $1,400 checks? Now, some lawmakers are calling for a fourth round of stimulus to continue until the end of this situation that we're in now. Thank you, AOC. To date, the federal response to the economic crisis leveraged by this situation that we're in now has paid out $3,200 to eligible adults, $1,200 under the Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act in March 2020, $600 in a December relief measure, and $1,400 in March. President Joe Biden signed the American Rescue Plan. The spread of the you-know-what has created new economic pressures on Americans. The latest figures from the Census Bureau report that 23%, count that, 23% of Americans struggled to afford their household expenses in the last 2 weeks. It has also said that 27% of Americans were barely able to pay off all their overdue bills. And I want you to comment below if you were one of those, okay? The unemployment rate has improved mostly because the gap between the people with jobs and people without jobs continues to widen. Roughly 5 million people are still unemployed, even though employers are hiring. Economists also say that the risk of this situation that's going around is actually on the rise. Recently, Oxford Economics lowered their forecast for world economic growth to 5.9% by 2021 from 6.4%. Uncertainty and hesitancy may ultimately lead to a more slow-burning recovery from here than our baseline assumes. The quote wrote Ben May, director of global macro research at Oxford Economics, in the report is not correct. All right? It looks like there are several issues that need to be addressed when it comes to the support of labor. Yes, it does. Labor Day saw 9.1 million unemployment benefits expire, putting people in a difficult position. And this has caused a significant amount of problems for those who actually rely on these funds to actually survive, as they no longer have access to them. This would cause a loss of around $5 billion in benefits previously going to unemployed people. For example, the money was used for significant items such as groceries, rent, and other expenses related to day-to-day life. Now, for many Americans, the last round of checks markets disaster. Why? Because there's other stimulus that's coming to an end. Those who are struggling with going unemployed in a bad labor market should be aware of this. In response to the worsening living conditions for various marginalized groups in the U.S., a petition has actually been created, I'm sure you've heard of that, on change.org, calling for legislation that would guarantee a salary of $2,000 per month, at least, to all Americans. Now, some legislators have picked up on the idea. 21 senators, all Democrats, wrote a letter on March 30th to Mr. Biden expressing their support for recurring stimulus payments, as they pointed out that people won't be able to buy much food with the $1,400 being distributed from the IRS. Almost 6 in 10 people say the $1,400 payment set to be included in the rescue package will last them less than 3 months. And this is what the senators wrote in the letter, right? Man, they're definitely on some people's sides. Meanwhile, some states are creating their own form of stimulus checks. I'm sure you heard of that. About 2/3 of California residents are likely to qualify for a Golden State stimulus. check via a new effort from Governor Gavin Newsom. That effort will provide $600 for low and middle income residents who filed their 2020 tax returns. Florida and parts of Texas have authorized bonuses to teachers, which may help offset the impact this thing has had on individuals living in those areas. Now, the letter from the U.S. government doesn't mention the amount of the payments, but a Democratic effort in January was calling for $2,000 monthly payments until this thing ends. The American Rescue Plan is funded at $1,400 per eligible adult and dependent. Now, let's get into the child tax credit. You remember the July 15th deposits? Okay. Some families received an additional form of stimulus aid on July 15th when the IRS deposited the first out of 6 monthly payments into bank accounts of parents who qualify for the child tax credit. The average CTC payment for the first distribution was $423. Did you get that check? According to data from left-leaning NGO Economic Security Project. Eligible families will be given up to $1,800 in cash through December. The money will be spread out equally over the 6 months from July through December. This is due to the expanded CTC. It's part of President Joe Biden's America. Families with less than 6 members will get $300 monthly. The families right now check this out. There was an interview, okay? The families that were interviewed told the interviewers the funds would go towards the child care, school supplies, and other necessities. If Mr. Biden's America Families Plan is enacted, families may enjoy more of a tax break in the coming years. Under the plan, the child tax credit's expansion would last for 4 more years, meaning that families would be receiving bigger tax credits for an additional 4 years. Now let's get into the emergency funds and the saving. All right, now keep in mind, at the time of this data, most people who have received the 3 rounds of stimulus payments reported using their funds to pay down debt or save it for the future. It's likely that people are using the money to pay off debts that they owe to other financial institutions or even for emergency purposes. Nearly 70%, count it, 70% of Americans who have received or are expecting to receive a third payment said it's important for their short-term finances, according to Bankrate.com in April. That's from 8 out of 10 people in March 2020. But now it's down to 7 out of 10. And overall, right, less people seemed to need additional support a year later. About 1 in 3 people said the stimulus aid would help support them for less than 1 month. Less than 1 month, calculating to an average of about 29 days. So researchers found that the stimulus payments helped millions of Americans avoid hardship to some degree. But when stimulus has faltered, such as last fall, when Congress was deadlocked on another round of aid, hardship increased substantially, okay, in November and December. And that's according to a May analysis of census data from the University of Michigan. All right, now there's people that are still living paycheck to paycheck. More than 150 economists signed a letter last year that called for more direct stimulus payments. The letter's signatories, which included Jason Furman, former Obama administration economic advisor, argued that the American people deserve continued federal investments in infrastructure and education. The economy may be improving, but there are still many people who are struggling financially. Citizens are not able to access government aid programs, which only helps 40% of jobless workers. Now, many people never applied for unemployment benefits because they didn't think they were eligible, while others may have given up due to long waits and other issues. I know of one guy, he didn't think he was eligible for a self-employment unemployment, but he got it. Isn't that wild? You'll see reports about how the economy is starting to grow, but there are still a lot of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck, and benefits from government programs haven't been able to help. And this is what Greg Nassif said, the political director of Humanity Forward. So the big question is, how likely is a 4th stimulus check? Well, Wall Street analysts generally appear skeptical of a Facebook acquisition. It's likely at this time, it is unlikely at this time, according to Raymond James analyst Ed Mills. One reason is that the Biden administration is focused on advancing its infrastructure plan, which would reshape the economy by rebuilding aging schools, roads, and airports. It would also invest in projects ranging from affordable housing to broadband. The proposal, which the White House says would be funded by boosting the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%, can be expected to consume lawmakers this fall, according to Brian Gardner of Stifel. The fall is shaping up to be a busy time in Washington as Congress tries to finish two infrastructure bills, one which of course includes tax hikes, approve the annual spending bills, and raise the debt ceiling, Congressman Pam said. Now, one question for you. Can you feel the headwind? At the same time, the economic recovery is facing challenges as this thing spreads throughout the country. For people who are worried about contracting it while at work, it might be worth looking up the rates of the state in which they'll be working. All right? So just think about that. I want to know your opinion on the fourth stimulus check. These congressmen and women are not going to, it doesn't seem like they're going to stop at all to get this $2,000 payments out to Americans. And I'm not just talking about California. I'm not just talking about Texas. I'm talking about all 50 states. They are really, really working hard. And I know one in particular, my goodness, she's working really hard and she feels very strongly about the $2,000 monthly checks. Now, I think she may have even increased it. She is no joke, okay? Fire. All right? No. So, hey, please I want to know what you are doing, all right? Where you stand, okay? Because the federal program for the unemployment expired on September 6th, with programs which had been available for people in atypical jobs. Now, the only hope is that similar stances will be taken by state and local governments. Experts say that would make life harder for a lot of people. We need to avoid policies that will drain economic recovery by shrinking the economy and blocking access to work, said Century Foundation senior fellow Andrew Stettner in a recent statement. Folks, let me know what you think about this. Give me a comment below, like, share, and subscribe. You know we help people with Velocity Banking. Even if the income that is coming in, you got a little bit more income coming in than you have expenses. Folks, you know we can assist you with that. If you don't have any income coming in, we can assist you with that as well. Negative cash flow, we can assist you. What does that mean? That means we're going to be financially allocating things so that you can grow. All right, both financially and personally and professionally. So give me a buzz. info@velocityseed.com, or if you want to know about the Phoenix stimulus checks. Oh, absolutely. We got that for you. We got the link, but you got to be a member because only members get the links and special things that we provide here, special elements of the Velocity Banking that we provide here. Only members get that, all right? Go ahead and sign up to be a member, and you can go ahead and get that link, okay? Like, share, subscribe. You guys take care. God bless.